welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy at the request of Patreon subscriber Brendan, and this is Blue-Black Reanimator, aka Froginator, aka the deck that just got banned, right? Right? Padme Amidala meme, right? Turns out not right. And this list is from Maxtortion, who won one of the Legacy challenges this past weekend, just a couple days ago at the time of this recording. If you'll all remember, a month ago, I did a feature on the channel where I played against Andreas Echo Baronin Peterson, where we played decks that we thought would be good if Grief was banned. And one of the decks he submitted was just Blue-Black Reanimator without Grief. You'll also perhaps recall the last several episodes of the Eternal Glory podcast, where we were predicting what cards probably should be banned, and all of our lists included Psychic Frog, for the reason that these shells are so developed at this point that just hitting Grief isn't enough. It's enough to bring it back into the universe, but maybe not enough to actually kill the deck. Check out the Eternal Glory podcast this week. It'll come out on Friday, a couple days after this video, and the Grief is banned, Long Live Reanimator will be part of the topic of that episode. I came in a little hot in this intro, I dare say. A little sarcastic, a little aggressive. The reality is the Legacy metagame is still shaking out, and there's a couple ways to look at the best deck from before a card got banned out of it still being a tournament-winning deck 1 week later. We can look at it in terms of, yeah, obviously this shell is fully fleshed out. We just changed Grief into a couple Thoughtseizes, and we're chilling. Like, we know the deck's good. There's no wheel to reinvent here. It's low-hanging fruit, and Max went out and picked it. Another way to look at it is Psychic Frog might be too good for Legacy. And with Dreadhorde Arcanist already on our ban list, Psychic Frog probably better than Dreadhorde Arcanist most of the time. Certainly better at enabling Atraxor Archon of Cruelty, because otherwise it's tough to get these cards out of your hand at a good rate if you happen to draw them in Blue-Black Reanimator. Blue-Black Reanimator has been legal basically this whole time. If we ignore Psychic Frog and Tamiyo, every card in this deck has been legal for years. Troll of Khazad-dûm is the next newest card. And after that, it's Fatal Push, which came out in Aether Revolt. And Atraxa is a relatively new monster, but, you know, put Grizzlebrand in there and we're doing fine. Blue-Black Reanimator was a deck back in the Mystical Tutor era. Entomb was banned at one point. Entomb came off the ban list. Blue-Black Reanimator immediately started winning tournaments. Mystical Tutor ended up getting banned, and then Reanimator just settled into something kind of normal and beatable for a while. And the new cards are Troll of Khazad-dûm gives you the kind of mid-range scam plan where you don't have to resolve an Entomb. You can cycle a Troll and just put a 6/5 into play. And then we have Psychic Frog being a full reload as well as a discard outlet, as well as beating Graveyard Hate in the sideboard games, all as a game one plan. I don't need to do a full litigation of the existence of Blue-Black Reanimator right now. We're going to be doing that for the next 3 months because this is going to be our Eternal Weekend metagame. The next ban list update is mid-December, which will be after all the Eternal Weekends have happened. We're going to have this conversation a lot for the next 3 months, but right now, let's explore this thing, see if it's actually busted or if Max was just on the cutting edge of the first real set of challenges with Grief banned, and everyone said, oh good, Reanimator's gone, didn't back Graveyard 8. Could just be a metagame factor, could be the deck still busted. To be determined. Let's just get in and play it. Check out the Eternal Glory for an hour and a half conversation about what I just spent 3 minutes on later this week. I'm on the play in round 1. I have Atraxa in my hand, which I don't mind because I have both Brainstorm and Psychic Frog. I'm going to keep, and I'm going to play Polluta, Delta, and pass. My plan is to fetch Undercity Sewers and get a little card selection along the way here. If my opponent shoves some nonsense, Turn 1, I can get an island in daze. Depending on what the nature of the nonsense is, I might still get the tapped island and get the surveil and still daze. Or I might get a basic. Delta go. Opponent's on 7. Ancient Tomb pass. Okay. Likely to be a Wasteland deck. How much do I want to respect that versus getting the selection? I think I want to respect it a lot. Which also means I could have gone to my turn before I draw. Okay, well, here's Psychic Frog. I can daze something. I can reanimate Atraxa next turn, even if I daze. And this Ancient Tomb deck has to figure out how it's beating Psychic Frog, which is not trivial to do. Ooh, Kevin on Human. Now we're gaming. Where's this going? Oh, are we the initiative? I could just daze this Lotus Petal now, but I kind of don't mind the initiative being introduced. If they have like Palace Jailer here, I'll still just Atraxa over the top. Seasoned Dungeoneer it is. Can't daze that anymore. I can daze a Solitude if they have one to pitch cast here. Mountain in their hand, just Boros initiatives back. Psychic Frog, exactly what I want to be doing in this environment. Fetch land is a great draw that gives me something to do, or some extra cards to exile without having to discard a frog. Do I Brainstorm here? I could save the Brainstorm for post Atraxa. Yeah, I'm just going to play Polluted Delta. I'm going to make Frog bigger. I'm going to animate dead Atraxa. Then I'm going to have a handful of cards to discard a frog. Then I take the initiative, and they can never get it back. Okay, here's a handful of stuff. Animate Dead's an enchantment. Frog's a creature. Thoughtseize is a sorcery. Entomb's an instant. Polluted Delta's a land. Done. Let's see what's left in that hand, and then I'll make additional decisions. This is probably not a Wasteland deck, though. I identified Ancient Tomb most likely as Eldrazi when we started, but I don't think these decks get to play Wasteland in high numbers. Unlike the Vintage counterpart, where your mana is so good and your creature's so cheap that you definitely get as many Wastelands as you want. Okay, Thoughtseize you. Caves of Chaos Adventure, Seasoned Dungeoneer. I'm going to take... Okay, so they have Karakas. That's actually good. I'm going to take Seasoned Dungeoneer, because I believe that one is better. They're both humans. Okay. I exile 3 cards, jump the frog. Opponent said they suddenly feel less good about this hand. Yeah, I hear you. The Karakas is really good, but if they play Seasoned Dungeoneer, they don't get Karakas. Attacking with my Flying Frog. And I think I just sink some large amount of effort into this, or energy. So Entomb Reanimate, I can just flip that into Archon next turn. Don't need this Troll. I don't need this land. Don't really need Brainstorm. Do I need a second Frog? I'll chill at that point. I've done a lot of damage here. I get the initiative and I draw a card. I tutored both my basics already, so getting the initiative's mostly flavor at this point. Okay, no love there. Draw for Frog. Another Animate Dead. Okay. So they can Karakas bounce my Atraxa, or they can just attack with protection through the Atraxa. They can do that first and then make a decision. I don't understand how they could ever win this game with Atraxa in play, so I imagine we'll still see the Karakas here. Chrome Mox revealed. They're not going to keep that, and they didn't. Can't block. You get the Archon. Going into the Lost Cavern, or Lost Well. Lost Cavern is a set. Yeah, when your opponent has a turn 2 uncounterable Seasoned Dungeoneer, and then they are scrying rather than pushing damage with Forge and Trap, you've probably done a good job going over the top. Bottom, the scry. There's Karakas. And because they have to Karakas, means they can't cast the Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Entomb the Archon, animate the Archon. Trigger. Discarded Ancient Tomb. And I can make this land drop and then go to combat. They're going to have to bounce Atraxa, and then I can discard Atraxa to get more damage through. Atraxa's in hand. Animate Dead dies. That's how that works. +1 counter on Frog. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I could just push. Yeah, I'm just going to shove 10 damage through. They'd have to have exactly Solitude, but I don't think they have a white card. I think I know 3 of their 4 cards, and the cards I know aren't white. Okay, cool. That was a slaughter. And I like it. Okay, consigned to memory can stop the initiative from being introduced even if the creature's uncounterable. Just hit the initiative trigger, then they just have overcosted shitters. Barrow-goyf is enormous. Just currently 32 tickets on Magic Online because of the stupid Commander treasure chest release system. Fatal Push, Bowmaster. Bowmaster's good at taking the initiative because it's 2 creatures. I don't think I want these cards. I'm just talking about the options. Brazen Borrower is a generic answer to stuff like Chalice of the Void or Unlicensed Hearse or Leyline of the Void. The question is, do I want to pivot? And if so, how hard? Losing Grief does make the pivot a lot worse because that was the bridge between turn 1, turn 2 disruptive combo deck and mid-range creature deck. I think Daze is just actively bad here. There are Fatal Pushes in the main already. Thoughtseize You, Reanimate Your Monster, does beat Leyline of the Void. I don't think I want more Brazen Borrowers. I think I do still want to be reanimating, at least until they show me some busted sideboard card. Tameo seems awful. They're a Caracas deck that doesn't care about a 0/3 flyer. Maybe Consigned to Memory doesn't need to be in this large number. Maybe Barrow-goyf's worse than Consign, actually. Because Consign can stuff the initiative on turn 1 on the draw. Like if they go for a turn 2 Cavern Monster, Consign lines up. I'm going to try it like this. I could see arguments for Toxic Deluge, but I think with the reanimation still in, I just want to be doing that. This hand is a mulligan. Just doesn't do anything. So actually, it casts Force of Will and then wastelands them, but then it doesn't do anything. I am going to mulligan this. All right, well, I'm going to keep this bottom one of the forces. And now they're in the crap zone where their initiative creatures are not safe in their hand, and unless they lead on something like Cavern of Souls, they're not safe on the stack either. And if my opponent goes initiative creature, I force it, reanimate it. Now I have the initiative. That's really bad. And that appears to be happening already. Do I want to keep the backup Force or the Ponder? Any blue card I draw means Force is a better keep. I'd rather keep Ponder, though. And now they're going to need... Oh, wow. I could just take a turn off. It doesn't matter. I was about to say now they need Touch the Spirit Realm to be back in this game. But I'm going to take a turn off, Thoughtseize them. There goes Unlicensed Hearse. Next turn, I Wasteland them and take their Dungeoneer. And we're out of here. They would need an insane draw right now. That's not it. Reanimate your Dungeoneer. I do have a basic in my deck this time. This is why we didn't see initiative for 6 months. Opponent said they figured they could get one of their 2 cards in, but not both. But I just answered both. You get what you get. And I'm going to Wasteland their Ancient Tomb. I can't take them off white. If they have Swords of Plowshares, they have it, but I can take them off casting a 4-drop or 3-drop. I think I'm just going to Forge and try to murder my opponent. And this is a perfect example of what I was talking about in the deck tech of maybe Max just caught a metagame unprepared for people to still just be reanimatoring. Because anyone who would expect this to be a top deck, who would respect Dimir to be a top deck, would not be registering Boros Initiative. And this could just be the shields down moment on the metagame. But I drew Psychic Frog. Yeah, opponent just said in chat they decided to take this out for a first spin after the banning. And what a cruel reminder it is. Touch the Spirit Realm is their best card at this point. Yep, opponent said in chat, you get to demonstrate why it may need to stay on the sideline a little longer. Yep, exactly the same conclusion. They trap you. Go to 8. That's 5, 6 on board, and I have cards in hand. Consigned to Memory. Beats a lot of stuff here. All right, I'll just attack. GG's. We got the GG's. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Mox field to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw in round 2. Opponent has kept 7. Force blue card selection and some reanimates. Done. I'm in. By the way, I've said a few times, maybe Max got these pairings or those pairings. We don't need to wonder because Max does release on YouTube at MaxTortionMTG. And his challenge winning video should be up by the time this video is out. I could force this and then reanimate it, or I could let it resolve. And I'm going to gamble on the force because if I find an entomb or a frog or any such thing, it's going to be really good to back it up. Fatal push. All right. This is a lot of black cards in my hand right now that I want to cast. But I think if I can manipulate the game to a spot where Thoughtseize is good, I will win on that turn. And it really depends on if this is like a Jeskai control-y style deck using Tamiyo as a card advantage thing. If this is Dimir Frog or some Esper Tempo deck, like do they have Wasteland or not is the current fear. Okay, Brainstorm will flip Tamiyo directly into the danger zone. I don't have a quick solution to that. I don't really want to force this, but I think I might have to. Okay, force pitching Ponder. With this fatal push that I kept on top of my deck specifically, so Tamiyo could be answered. All right, they forced me back pitching a Baleful Strix. Some sort of, at least Dimir, maybe Esper, mid-range nonsense. Now that fatal push looks bad, but the Thoughtseize looks good. Tamiyo can rebuy that Force of Will next turn, so maybe I should sit on the Thoughtseize a little longer. They did find their land. Okay, plus on Tamiyo. I draw fatal push. I could brainstorm first, which I don't think is a bad idea. So I no longer want fatal push. And if I can find a fetch land, move some cards around, all right, my hand immediately improved dramatically. Put back fatal push and animate dead. I don't think I need 2 of this effect, and I don't want the more expensive of the 2. And now I can fetch the other Undercity Sewers and move forward with life, double black active. Also active though is the Tamiyo. Nethergoyf in the graveyard. They have instants and lands. Can't escape that just yet. It is interesting that Baleful Strix is finding homes in decks that also want Nethergoyf. I wonder if this deck is more built to the mid-range or if this is just a cantripping artifact that's really good with Nethergoyf. I think I saw a list with like 1 or 2 Strixes in addition to all the obvious 1-drops, but I now do expect Wasteland and Daze out of this deck. Seeing the Nethergoyf. They rebought their Force of Will. Psychic Frog. Son of a Biscuit. Okay. Are they going to want to Force of Will a Daze? Am I going to want to... I mean, yes. All right. Enforcing this frog through is obviously very good. I just shuffled away... Or I haven't shuffled yet. Where did I put that? Oh no. I think I put the Fatal Push 2 down. Okay. So... Frog's in the graveyard. To fetch the other sewers. An untapped Black Source would be great here. Ponder backs up my force. Yeah, I'll keep that. And now the question is, do I just send it on Frog with force backup, or do I take the Thoughtseize poke first? Creature, instant, land. They missed a land drop. Their hand is 4 spells. One of them's Force of Will. That's all information that we have. I think I want to Thoughtseize first. I could make my land drop to play around Daze, but I want to play Undercity Sewers. All right. Thoughtseize you. They could have dazed. No, I had a fetch land up. So this Daze is live. Strix force another Frog fatal push. They are not worried about Psychic Frog. Is the real answer. Okay, I'm going to strip their second Frog. I am worried about that card. Another Thoughtseize. Okay, I'll put that on top. Thoughtseizing my way through the danger zone here until I can stick their Frog. Yeah, Strix is really good in the Frog meta. I get it. Tamiyo plus, she can get a spell back next turn, but she will die if she does it. Thoughtseize you again. Push, push, force ponder. Okay. Yeah, this deck is extremely well suited to Frog gaming. Now the question is, do I even want to Frog game? I could just ignore this because I don't think it's going to work and ponder my way into an Entomb. I'm going to do that, actually. That's a lot of bad cards. I'm going to shuffle this. Wasteland. Oh, okay. I could take them off black next turn, and then my frog rides. Running out of resources, though. Tamiyo Plus can rebuy next turn. They have this clue token sitting around. That's another card whenever they're ready. If they drew a blue card this turn or off the clue token, they could Force of Will my Reanimate. Or if they just find a land drop, they don't need to Force of Will. Jeez, or they could draw another damn frog. Jesus. All right, well, I have full information about their hand, but their frog is bigger than mine, and I'm just behind and not a damn thing to be done about it. And now Reanimate doesn't resolve because they could just eat their frog in response. Wow, that's bad. Okay. I mean, obviously that was the best draw in the deck. They had 3 frogs after I Thoughtseize them multiple times. All right. I'm just going to hope they miss the eat my own frog interaction here. Cool. The sequencing on the Wasteland was essential there because they think they could just Fatal Push it, but I know they can't. But I think you still probably just want to exile your own frog there. Their frog's better than mine, though. If they find a black source, I lose. And Tamiyo can rebuy Ponder. Or they could just draw another Ponder. They've also drawn extremely well this game, in addition to their deck being extremely well suited for the game that we're playing. Shuffled the library into a black source. I think I'm ready to concede. Yeah, we don't have to keep playing this. Okay. So their list is basically my sideboard list, except even better. But Orcish Bowmaster is very good against Baleful Strix. Could just do this whole thing, make the juke. I am probably interested in doing this, though their Baleful Strix Fatal Push deck built to do this on purpose, and I just kind of bored into it. I think Reanimate is still something I want some access to. Troll is still really big, doesn't get Fatal Pushed. Daze is good. Got my own Tamiyos. Do I want Deluge? If I'm Barrow-Goyfin and they're doing smaller stuff, Deluge is sick. All right, yeah, no Force of Wills, all black cards. Let's game. Okay, on the play here, I have access to basic island and swamp. I'm going to keep Frog's Bowmaster is just raining value idiots into play until one of us runs out of value idiots is the plan. Just island go to kick it off here. Opponent's on 6. I get to shove the first frog if frog shoving is what I think I want to be doing. And probably is. I boarded out the forces, so really it's like, what am I waiting for? You know, obviously if I draw Daze, that's great, but what if I don't draw Daze? What am I going to do? Just try to Bowmaster their turn 2 frog? If they happen to have like Fatal Push, End Step, Untap Frog, then, you know, great job, you did it. But I don't think me waiting and trying to ambush something with Bowmaster, because Bowmaster doesn't even kill Frog most of the time. Your opponent would have to be hellbent somehow. I don't even know how that would happen. Cycling Lure Infield. We had the same plan. We're both setting up a basic mana base and trying to get our frogs frogging. Basic island. I'm glad that wasn't a Fatal Push. Because now even if they push, that's the mana for the turn that would have cast Frog. And my Frog script isn't quite flipped. Okay, they played around Daze. Got my Frog dead. Wasn't really what I was worried about. I mean, I would have preferred to have Frog in play, but I'm glad they don't. I'm just going to Underground Sea and pass, like, oh no, that was my whole plan. Hope they forget about Bowmaster. Play a Baleful Strix. Another Goyf, that's a lot bigger than Bowmaster. Still going to drop this thing. If we remember from the before times, the second Bowmaster usually wins because it pings the first Bowmaster, and me running mine out first, bit of a concern. But that also requires them to have that card, and between Goyf, Tamiyo, Baleful Strix, I don't know how many slots they have left for how many copies of this. 1 to you. Brainstorm in response. That's a smart time to do it, so it doesn't kill your another Goyf. I've got a Brainstorm now when I have a handful of blanks and they're not representing the thing that I'm worried about. Did I? I forgot to cut my Entombs. That's so embarrassing. Okay, well, everyone who was yelling at me in the deck, you were correct. That was truly horrendous. My monsters are out, my Entombs are not, lol. Okay, let's get back to business here and defeat this Hun. I'm going to lead on Psychic Frog. If they Daze a card this turn, I would prefer it to be Fatal Push over Psychic Frog. I could also just not cast any more spells right now. Yeah, I don't think pushing 2 damage with my Bowmaster is worth the possibility of getting my Fatal Push dazed right now. They're fetching with Delta. I'm reviewing my life choices. Just literally Forgotten Tomb was in the deck. Troll of Khazad-dûm should be in. Maybe you do play some number of forces, just leave all 4 reanimates in. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Does Consigned Memory do anything here? I'm just thinking about what is obviously the correct thing to do. Sandbag this Wasteland. Now it has a target. It may not matter. We're pretty far down the rabbit hole now, and if they just play land number 4, they might not care. Wasteland does turn on Fatal Push, though, if they play a Barrow-Goyf. I'm going to block with my Orc Army. I'm not worried about that card. I do have the potential for a sick value play where I discard and Entomb to Psychic Frog, and then my opponent sees that I still have Entomb in the deck, even though, for all real purposes, I don't. A draw for turn, Brainstorm, love it. To start with Wasteland, though, this cuts off a lot of things they might do. Like if they do have a Bowmaster, I get to know about it. If they're going to Fatal Push my Frog before combat, I get to know about it. They didn't float blue, which means that what they're planning to do is not a counterspell unless it's Force. They had a Murderous Cut. I think I am going to Brainstorm in response to this. At least make it look like I have an out. I don't, but this is a good spread of cards that I've discovered. I'm going to put back Ponder and Brazen Borrower. And then Frog dies. Fatal Push Tamiyo. And begin my attacks. Right now I have to decide how worried I am about Daze, and the answer is still very, so I'm just going to pass. Because with a Bowmaster in play already, you don't have to think quite as hard about the, what if they cast a cantrip, what if, do I want to be face up or face down with it? I am just going to push this. It's a lot of damage. I know I have Brazen Borrower that could clear a Frog, at least temporarily if that's the follow-up. They do have 4 card types in the graveyard if they have land escape. Frog's back. Or Frog's here. Whatever we do with Frogs. There it is. And I could Brazen Borrow it now. Or I could do some Bowmaster stuff next turn. I'm going to chill for a minute. See how this unfolds. Because I could set up a big enough board that a block is inadvisable. Or they might not want to tangle in combat with a ping plus triple 1/1. And them jumping the Frog is at least cards out of their graveyard while Necrogoyf is in there with barely Delirium. Like any 3 cards they exile here would result in Nethergoyf being inescapable. Deal 1 to Frog. And if they do jump the Frog, I'm going to block with Orc Army. If I can get them to discard a card basically for free here, that's great. You've got a Bowmaster as well. All right. Killing my Bowmaster. That means they still plan to discard a card this turn. Discarded Brazen Borrower. Frog is big enough to survive this combat. Now this means if Frog ever hits me, their Bowmaster dies. I'm drawing Ponder right now, which is kind of an awkward one, given how things shook out here. I think I just pass. I don't want them to replay that Bowmaster, like bouncing it for a turn just to get Ponder on the stack seems really bad. I mean, that's worse. Okay. We're very, very dead. I'm going to bounce Psychic Frog. I know they could just replay it, but at least the snowball doesn't start. And we found ourselves in the second consecutive game where opponent has a Frog and we don't. And I did present 2 of them, but they've got a bunch of removal. I spent removal on things that weren't Frog, which might mean their deck is better at distracting from the Frog, or it might mean that I am just not doing the correct thing, which is save removal spells for Frog at all cost and just let Tamiyo go nuts for a while. Or play perfectly, rewarded with my sideboarding decision and wipe their whole shit. Okay, no, I did it right. Completely on purpose, made this plan. I have to pay 3 or else Frog survives. Delete your board. And Ponder. Their Nethergoyf can come back next turn, at minimum. I could daze it. Wow, that's so risky. Dazing the Goyf is actually kind of sick. Okay, I'm taking the daze. Because if they escape this without a land drop, I get to pick up Undercity Sewers, put the Entomb in the graveyard, which I don't want to draw, also makes them think I'm still a Reanimator. If they just cast Frog here, we probably lose, but that's always going to be true. Really hope they escape the Goyf. Nope, that's wrong. That is just a Goyf from hand. Okay, I'm drawing Bowmaster. Also means I'm drawing Entomb next turn. There's no way to clear that at this point. They're attacking me. I'm going to play out the Bowmaster. Ping you for 1. Block the Goyf with the 1/1. 3 mana tapped, let's go. Daze is on. Their Goyf did get smaller. I'm going to float mana and daze this, picking up the Undercity Sewers. A turn behind where I was hoping for, because now I have to draw this Entomb. That is shamefully in my deck. Sewers. Okay, bin another Entomb. Opponent now knows I'm still reanimating. Wink, wink. I could play Orcish Brazen Borrower now to give them one fewer draw at Daze. Now Wasteland. Can't play around Daze anyway. That's probably what they drew this turn. Here's Brazen Borrower. Wasteland works. Fatal Push turned on by the Wasteland. No sequencing on my end would have stopped that play from happening. They're in for 3. The race is on and I'm losing. Misty Rainforest. Have I used both sewers? No. Okay. There's still a sewer in there. I'm not going to block with Bowmaster, so it's going to attack, even though I'm losing the race. They didn't play the other Goyf out of the graveyard. I guess they can't. It's only 3 sewers. Barrow Goyf, let's go. That is what I want to see in my life. They can't daze it. Fatal Push is not on right now. Ooh, okay, what's going on here? Are you Bowmastering my Bowmaster? You are. Okay. I mean, I didn't want to see that card, but it's not better than Barrow Goyf. All right, straight in the Barrow. I wonder if there's a card type I could Entomb to make Barrow Goyf bigger. Is that a trick I have access to? I have instant creature, land, sorcery, all the normal stuff. I think I boarded out all my enchantments. Yeah, instant creature, land, sorcery are all the card types that I have access to. My Goyf cares about their graveyard. Their Goyf doesn't care about mine, which is both pro and con. I think I have everything they have, so even if they escape their Goyf, it's not going to change the size of mine. And they have 3 mana, and there's a weird pause, which generally means they're clicking through cards to exile. Okay, change their mind. I drew Reanimate. That might be good. I could get back Frog. Or I could get back Bowmaster, which kills their Bowmaster. I could also just get back Troll. That puts me to 2, though. That's risky. 3/4. I could reanimate their Nether Goyf. Then they don't have that button anymore to push. Tameo doesn't help me versus the Bowmaster. Kind of wish I did have an Archon of Cruelty in my deck right now. Then I'm at 8. It's too late, but you know what I mean. Okay. I'm going to reanimate Orcish Bowmaster. They are responding. Surgical Extraction. Okay. If I had targeted their graveyard, this would be lower impact overall. Now they see the Entomb and they see no monsters for Entomb. The jig is up. They know I just threw it. If I attack with Barrow Goyf right now, it would kill Nether Goyf and Orcish Bowmaster and then die, and they can just escape their Nether Goyf. Yeah, I'm just sitting here at this point. They reanimate Fizzles. Animate Dead's not in the deck. Yep, instant creature, land, sorcery. That is the entire list. Oh, this has Death Touch, so it would actually kill their whole squad, but killing their whole squad still leaves me behind another Goyf. Or just holding till one of us draws a removal spell. This is probably worth casting, even though it triggers Bowmaster. Another Goyf and a Fatal Push. Those are 2 good cards. Okay, they just drew for turn. Am I playing around Daze? I don't think so. This would be a horrible thing to have Dazed, but I'm in there. I'm drawing Fatal Push next turn, which means I don't want to throw my Goyf away this turn. If they do something like attack with their Orc army, then I think they have Fatal Push. Time to turn the tides here. This is great because the Ponder looks like it found Barrow Goyf, which is already pretty good. Okay. But coming up with Barrow Goyf plus Fatal Push is just so insane. They pinged Face. As I would keep Ponder even if it just came up with Barrow Goyf. I also would attack even if I didn't have a follow-up removal spell. But I do, and I do. All right, I'm going to push Nether Goyf. And They're just scooping to that. Okay. All we needed to do was get slightly ahead in combat, and we were ahead. Okay. We completely unpunished by the Entomb because I won, even though I did spend large percentages of that game just with that card in my hand. Didn't need it. Now, that unlocks 4 slots in my deck. I could get Animate Dead and Reanimate and the 4th Troll back in. Consign to Memory can counter a Bowmaster ETB trigger. That could counter a Frog draw. Are any of those things worth having the card in my deck for? I don't think so. Do I just leave Archon in case? I can still discard it to Frog or loot it away. If the game goes long, are there 8 mana sources in this deck? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I mean, if we go deep into the Dirtle hole, Archon is a castable card. Could also just play Force of Negation, just hard cast it on a Fatal Push at some point in the game, and that would be fine. I think Archon is just literally unbeatable, though. I could Thoughtseize myself, something that the previous builds couldn't do. Okay, so it's Brainstorm plus Undercity Sewers, Psychic Frog Ever, Thoughtseize myself, Emergency out. Yeah, I think I just want one more Archon in. I could see bringing in one more Animate Dead instead and just recycling the graveyard more. That's probably actually what you should be doing, but I'm experimenting with stuff right now. I'm in my seeing what I like in the world arc. New format, who dis? Archon of Cruelty, you up? We both kept 7s. Their deck has good 1-drops and mine doesn't. I'd love to just see a Ponder and not a Tameo. Sick. We did it. We dodged. And now I can set up the Thoughtseize Reanimate combo, and the best card in their hand is now the best card in my battlefield. That doesn't fetch Basic Swamp, so I'm not going to mess with it. And if I want to be dazing anyway, I need to have an Underground Sea in play. Trips push, Force Will still in the deck, Frog Wasteland. Okay, they do have Wasteland. That's okay. I'm taking your Frog. Because the dirty trick here is you don't have black. And I can reanimate your Frog even if you kill it. Or even if you Wasteland me. Okay, that happened. Now, do I think they came up with a blue card for their Force? It mostly doesn't matter. I'm going to reanimate their Frog and just cross my fingers. Because this is either going to be a 2-for-1 when they pitch to Force, or they're going to have to draw a black source, which they did ponder, so like maybe they just have it, and they were incentivized to Wasteland me last turn regardless. Or they could just miss, and I Frog their smelly face off, which appears to be what's happening. Here we go. I don't think I'm discarding any of these cards for extra damage yet. My hand is actually just good. Brainstorm, while the getting's good. No Bowmaster yet. Fetch land means I don't need all these trolls. Trolls are good targets for reanimates. I still think the trolls are the worst cards in my hand. Maybe I'm supposed to ponder last turn. I was just thinking about shuffling and getting Undercity Sewers in play, which is probably not thinking enough. If Frog's coming in, Frog found Basic Island. That lets me ponder Orcish Bowmaster. Thank you. Good to see you. Opponent is about to start discarding to hand size if they don't come up with a card to cast. And we got the GGs in the chat. And we're out of here. On to the next round. Welcome to TopDeck.gg, your community's home for everything competitive Magic has to offer. If you're hosting an event, playing for a huge prize, or advertising your events to thousands of players, we've got you covered. Using intuitive pairing software, playing Magic is a breeze. Players just have to sign up online, then scan the QR code in-store. Give competitors the gift of perfect information as their bracket updates in real time. The self-reporting software saves you time and leaves paper match slips in the past. Leave the heavy lifting to TopDeck.gg so your community can relax and focus on playing Magic. I am on the play for round number 3. I have a turn 2 Psychic Frog with Force backup. That Frog can immediately put Atraxa in the graveyard. I have then the entire game to find one of my 7 reanimate effects to become unbeatable. Looks like a keep to me, is all I'm saying. I'm going to play Flooded Strand and maybe put my opponent off the scent. Maybe I'm Jeskai. Maybe I'm one of these dirtily back to basics decks that has emerged recently. Certainly I'm just not Frog Rescaminator. The best deck from last format, but it got banned, so we don't have to talk about it. A Chrome Mox. Okay. Pitching Elvish Spirit Guide. Okay, we're playing against Oops All Spells. Well, this is a deck that could make my hand look bad. Oh, wait, no, this is blue-green, or red-green initiative. This is a Fury. Okay, never mind. This is going to make my deck look really good, because we've seen this already. I'm going to force pitching... Do I pitch one of the frogs or the Atraxa? That's actually really interesting. I think I pitch a frog. Because the Atraxa is how I go over the top if they have a follow-up. And the frog just puts it in the graveyard basically for free. Undercity Sewers. Basic Island. Do I want this? I think so. In case they are a Blood Moon strategy, I guess I have some insulation now. They won't be able to kill this with damage. Even if they have a Fury, I can make it X5. And now I'm on board with an evasive creature. The basic swamp's still in my deck. I do have a tutor. Minsk and Boo Timeless Heroes. I mean, this card's really good. But it's also just dead. They get a 4/4. Then I attack with Psychic Frog 4/4. And I draw a card. Okay, I mean, the race is on. I could also just, like, draw Animate Dead this turn. I can also block Boo if they attack. I will go all in if they attack here. Their hand would have to be Lightning Bolt or Pyroblast to punish. I'll block. You think I won't? Discard Atraxa. Discard Pluto Delta. Discard Brainstorm. I'm all in. Okay, do they have the Bolt or are they dead? Cool. Now I kill Minsk and Boo, draw a card. This is all normal and healthy. Are we having fun yet? My opponent just went turn 1 Caves of Adventure, turn 2 Minsk and Boo, and it is not close to a game. Wasteland, this Ancient Tomb, which makes my days significantly better. All right, here we go. What's left to do here? Find out if they main deck Pyroblast. And they're dead. Wild. Okay, we're playing against Gruul Initiative. We've seen Minsk and Boo, as well as Fury and Caves of Chaos Adventure. I have to assume Undermountain Explorer Adventure. Undermountain Adventurer is in there. Thoughtseize is still good, because I can reanimate their stuff, as we've learned. Tameo, not that good. I'm not that worried about Blood Moon with my deck. And if they turn 1 it will be very good. But I have Basic Island, I have Trolls. I could take the initiative, which gets me out of Blood Moon if they introduce that. Yeah, without knowing what their graveyard hate is, I might just chill a little bit and do a half measure. Barrogoyf, Toxic Deluge, Consigned to Memory, each as 2 of the 3 that I have, and then a Deluge as a treat. I still have some Fatal Pushes in. Do I need those? They do have some pushables. Yeah, okay. I'm going in like this. Until they show me that they're willing to mull to 5 to put in a ley line or something. And then they also need to show me that that actually beats my deck, which I'm not convinced. Okay, I have access to Basic Swamp if they shove a turn 1 Moon. I have Barrogoyf that I could cast off that swamp. Leyline of the Void out of a 7-card hand. That is mostly fine. It does make these 2 Entombs look bad, but we'll see what their follow-up is. Reanimate. Okay, well, they survived. They were ready for the hurricane. Ancient Tomb. Do they have a Spirit Guide for an actual good card? It's just Trinisphere. That's fine. That doesn't affect my plan right now. I'm going to Swamp Cycle, and now since I can't, I guess I could Wasteland them. Yeah, I'm going to get Undergrounds. That was supposed to be basic. I was thinking about whether I wanted basic or Undercity Sewers, and then just realized that I want the basic, and then went with Underground Sea. It's fine. I'm going to try to put them under their own Trinisphere. Their deck's got to be better at playing this game than mine is, but if they don't play the game, then mine will be better. Cavern on Human is deployed. I'm going to cycle the other Troll. I'll actually get the Basic Swamp this time. Basic Swamp achieved. Psychic Frog could show up next turn. That is better than Barrogoyf. Let's see if they have land number 3, and if they do, does it make 2 mana? Land number 3 does not make 2 mana. They do have Spirit Guides in their deck. They could become initiated here. If they can introduce the initiative this turn, Pyroblast my Frog next turn, they will be ahead. But they do need to do both of those things. Okay. That one locks me out of Frog until I find my island, but I still have Barrogoyf, who's not that big right now, but it is a creature. It's a 1/2 because of Leyline. It does count their graveyard. 3 mana for Chrome Mox. They're in the sewer over there, but they have time to figure it out, unfortunately. 1 card left in hand. It's a lot harder to find basic island than it is to find basic swamp. They're not winning the race if they start attacking here, because my creature has lifelink. Okay, land number 4, which does not improve my situation. I'll probably just start casting Entombs this turn to get bad cards out of my deck. They played a Cavern that doesn't get to name anything. They do have all their colors. I'm going to get rid of Atraxa. Just throw her into the void. I don't want to draw that card. Wasteland. Okay. Yeah, they clearly don't have anything, but they're better at casting the things they do draw than I am. Uh-oh, mana's being tapped. Backup Magus. All right, that's fine. They can start attacking now. Oh no, I have Death Touch, which clears my Barrowgoyf, but also puts Magus in their graveyard. Oh, I should have been attacking. I forgot this thing has Death Touch. All right. I am not going to interact with this. Not yet. Force of Will, great draw. Now, at the point when they draw an initiative creature, I could force it, reanimate it, tutor up my island, and then we're winning. Now I hope they do draw an initiative creature, and their own caverns are off because of their moons. That doesn't matter. I mean, forcing it would have stabilized the board, but I don't think that's what I'm actually trying to do here. They could chip me for 2 for a while. Now I have a real plan for the end game. I'm not firing this Entomb out of my hand because I do have these 2 frogs that would care about the extra card in my hand. Having 2 of them was too many. One of them's probably fine. At least for now. I'm not that desperate yet. They've cast a Simian Spirit Guide, which does improve their clock slightly. I think I am going to cast Entomb this turn because if I don't draw a land, I have to go to cleanup. So I will just Entomb probably Archon out of the deck at this point. Just chuck that stuff out. Another Reanimate. Okay. Well, now I have enough Reanimates that I think I should trade off with whatever attacks this turn. Like if the Magus of the Moon comes in, I'll just trade off with it, gain 1 life, reanimate that. That can trade with their next attacker. And if they ever put an initiative creature on the stack, I just steal it and win. But if my life total gets too low, then forcing plus reanimating stops being an option. Or, okay, I have this option as well, which is I force this, then I have a 2/3, and it's just the biggest thing imaginable. But this force, then if they draw a real card like Minsk and Boo, I'm screwed. Okay, I am going to force this. Probably should have pitched a Brainstorm to that, not a frog. But what's done is done at this point. All right, now my creature is bigger than yours. There's no way they attack here. They're trying to figure out, this attack is insane if they do it. But they must have, like, Stomp in their hand. What are we doing here? I mean, please attack. I'd love to block, but yeah, I don't know what that was about. Okay, now we're chilling again. Because if they put a second creature in their graveyard, I can reanimate the first one, have a 2/2 in play, and still have a 2/3 Barrowgoyf. And another Spirit Guide. It's trying to overwhelm me. My spirit is so guided. Attacks are happening. I am going to block. I net 2 damage there. And they didn't have a follow-up. I can't imagine they think they can actually get through this lifelink creature with 2/2 beats. This Fatal Push is almost good. Like, if they ever do clear my Barrowgoyf, the Fatal Push is going to unlock me from the moons. Uh-oh, this looks like a real spell. They're tapping a lot of mana. Fury. Okay. Well, I mean, that is what I just said, which is pretty exciting. So Fury kills Barrowgoyf. And then I drew Fatal Push right on time. But I get to kill the moons. We're out of the moon. My mana is back. I am at 5, though. And can't cast many spells here. This fetch is obnoxious. That is almost perfect. But instead it is wrong. I'm not going to wasteland them this game. Do I even play out this fetch land? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't need it for Psychic Frog to survive. And if they don't attack me with everything, the fetch and play is actually sick. Okay. Passing the turn. Please don't draw a source of 1 damage. Their caverns are open now, but I don't have counterspells anyway. They have a human creature. Hope it's a Magus of the Moon. It is. Okay. This means that I cannot fetch because then I would lose. But at least it's not some massive game ending. I could have floated blue and brainstormed. That would have been so much better than what I just did. Okay, whatever. They don't have attacks, but they're attacking anyway. Okay, they want to put me to 1. They block Fury. Reanimate. From 1, those aren't that helpful. Okay. Frog survives. And now I lose. Yeah, I'm going to attack with Frog. They either block with Magus or I draw a card. They'll probably just let me draw a card. Okay. Completely handled by Leyline of the Void that game. And Blood Moon mattered a lot too. So that means the Brazen Borrowers I didn't bring in, I am interested in. Probably going to back off of the reanimation stuff at least a bit. I could still see arguments that it's good enough to have like Archon and 1 Entomb in the deck, and if it comes together, sweet. If it doesn't, whatever. Fatal Push, not necessarily reliable versus Magus of the Moon, but it is a removal spell that I can line up a fetch land against. Force of Negation hits Trinisphere, but not Magus. I don't think I care about that. Tamiyo is a big game in situations where nothing's happening. Toxic Deluge will win me that game at any point before I was at 1 life. Yeah, I had hits, I had draws. I don't feel too bad about that. I am on the play now where Daze is significantly better, but if the game ends up looking like that, Daze will still be terrible. I think I want to cut another Animate Dead and get a Tamiyo in here. Consign on the play. It hits Chrome Mox. It hits Chalice Trinisphere. Okay, no, I definitely want the 3rd Consign in, probably over one of the Reanimates. Or do I actually want this Tamiyo at all? Tamiyo can play. Just doing stuff. Access to both basics without even trying that hard. I will keep this. My hand barely cares about my graveyard. Reanimating a troll is pretty big against this deck if they don't go to Leyline. If they chase a 6 or a 5 with Leyline, I can just ignore the reanimate. They did go to 6. They do have Leyline. Sure. Do I want to ponder here, or do I want to fetch the catacombs? Sewers. The sewers. I think I want to ponder. Let's just see more cards, make more decisions. Force of Will is good eventually, but these other 2 cards are bad immediately. I can cycle Troll in my upkeep, though, and get another look at a blue card. Okay, I am going to keep the Force of Will with the intention of cycling Troll in my upkeep. So I have Toxic Deluge that can flip most situations. My basic lands are under control. Ancient Tomb. Ancient Tomb pass. I'm going to Swamp Cycle this Troll, get the basic. Draw for turn. Not the blue card I was hoping for, but Polluted Delta can get a sewer, get a little selection. Okay, 4 mana, but it's all colorless. They do play the full boat of Spirit Guides. There goes an Elvish Spirit Guide immediately. And a Simian. Minskin Boo. This is a very bad card for them to have right now. Me without this Force of Will. Sad. This might be game ending. It probably is, actually. If this was a creature, I could deluge it, reanimate it, and we just slowly crawl it back, but Minskin Boo off double Spirit Guide. Whatever. Okay. Okay, Boo gets in. And I still have a deck full of Fatal Pushes and stuff that can help here. End step, fetch for the selection. Sewer finds Ponder. That is a blue card. It also is more looks at a possible out to this situation. In the blue card, Ship is kind of passed, though. I'm just going to cast Ponder. Archon of Cruelty. That's insulting to me. I'm going to shuffle this because I don't have a shuffle for this Brainstorm, which otherwise I would like. Brazen Borrower was one of the cards I would have liked to see here, and we did. That's good news. If they just ram the Boo up to 7 here, Brazen Borrower is going to buy me a lot of time. If they just go to combat and don't activate Minskin Boo, I'm going to have to bounce it in combat. If they minus, you do get a chance to respond to that. Hopefully they just ram it up to 7. They are planning on drawing cards, it seems. I'm going to bounce this. I'm not going to take 4 and try to get Minsk lower. That would be a multi-turn line to actually fully answer Minsk and Boo. I guess I could have bounced Minsk and Boo, tried to deal with the hamster. Oh, that would have been so much better. Shit. You ever think of the correct line after you've already cast spells? If I bounce Minsk and Boo, they have to reassemble both colors to cast it. That was a huge spew. Okay. Brazen Borrower dealing with Minsk and Boo, I guess, is the plan now. I'm gonna wasteland this City of Traders. Yeah, if I had bounced Minsk and Boo, Toxic Deluge the hamster, that would have... Yep. Okay. I accept that mistakes were made. Not to make excuses, you know, mistakes happen. I make them all the time, but my wife has called me several times during this match to tell me her car is broken. Then she called me from the dealership saying the dealership's closed because I'm recording this on Labor Day. Then she called me again, and I have not been fully operational at any point in the last 2 turn cycles, but everything, she's back home now with her car, that is, seems to be fine. Okay, Cavern of Souls, minusing the Minsk and Boo there, dinging me for 1 is really interesting because this gives Brazen Borrower the opportunity to kill Minsk and Boo in combat, and then there will be a land and planeswalker in the graveyard for a Barrogoyf attacking Minsk and Boo. Yeah, that's gone. Okay, that's huge. And then I get a 2/3 Barrogoyf, and I can fetch the other Undercity Sewers. I think if they just ratcheted that thing up to 4, I would have bled out pretty quickly. And now I don't care about Magus of the Moon out of this human cavern. If they introduce the initiative, I will take it from them. Okay, the initiative is here. Caves of Chaos Adventurer has arrived. Initiative trigger. They have been playing this game color screwed, though, after that initial burst of Minsk and Boo, but now they have Cavern plus Mountain available to start unlocking their hand. They fetch, Undercity Sewers, Thoughtseize, fascinating. Okay, I think I actually want this on top. In my life total is not exactly flush, but also Thoughtseizing any non-land out of their hand here makes Barrogoyf big enough to party. Fable is an enchantment. Yeah, that's a weird type. Let's get that in there. Their hand is Leyline of the Void and 2 lands right now. I think if I just attack with everything, I'm way ahead. Like, I don't think they're going to trade with Barrogoyf. And then, if they do, I just reanimate their creature. If they don't, I Toxic Deluge for 3, Barrogoyf survives, and then I reanimate their adventurer, and I go a second room into the dungeon immediately. I am not going to mill with Barrogoyf. Wait, does this work? Put a creature card from among them. This, I believe this does work. Because it just says mill that many cards. If you do, you can put a creature from among them into your hand. It doesn't say from the graveyard. I am going to mill this. 3 cards exiled, none of them were creatures. Okay. I wasn't going to get those anyway. And now I can do the thing where I just take over the game. X is 3. Goyf survives. Reanimate this. I get to Forge. I'm going to Forge onto Barrogoyf. Get my lifelink creature huge. They have 1 draw step to deal 7 damage to me, and then they're dead. Mana's being tapped. What do we got? A human. Okay. Yeah, that's late. Doesn't matter. Mountain's in play. I get to trap them. They go to 7. I could goad the Magus of the Moon into attacking, but it has to block anyway. And I get to flip a card off Caves of Chaos Adventurer when it attacks. They have to block Barrogoyf because the other one tramples. Flip to Psychic Frog. I'll just cast that and then hold up Force of Will in their turn. Yeah, the Minsk and Boo situation was weird because I messed up by not bouncing it and then trying to deal with Boo. And then I think they messed up by, I guess they were playing around removal or something, by just drawing 1 card rather than ratcheting up the 4/4 and getting back to work. I think we both messed up around that Minsk and Boo this match, but we got away with it. Barrogoyf, unit, let's go. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Receivables has it at youtube.com/thereceivables. I'm on the play in round number 4. I'm going to keep this hand. This hand gets to Entomb in the first end step. I can just shove Atraxa in there, and then I play Frog on turn 2, and I have 7 draws for the rest of the game that just put Atraxa into play. The backfire is if it's some sort of mirror match and they reanimate my Atraxa, but that's way less likely to happen now, especially since they let on Urza Saga, a card that is probably not in any mirror match. And I have Daze and Force of Will to fight off their reanimate. Even if that was the line, I would still just send it, even if they play Polluted Delta here. Underground Sea, Entomb. I think Atraxa is better in the blind than Archon, but, you know, whatever. Mostly whatever. Oh, that's interesting. I still think putting Frog into play is better, because everything gets better when you're attacking with a Frog. If they play Ancient Tomb, they can make a 1/1 construct. If they don't play Ancient Tomb, I can Wasteland this Saga without it ever doing anything. Oh, this is Painter. All right. Wow, Lightning Bolting a Frog is certainly a choice in this world. Well, enforcing this and discarding Force are the same thing. I'm going to discard 2 forces. It's like I forced it, except my Frog got bigger instead of me losing life points. If they follow up with like Spirit Guide Pyroblast or Spirit Guide another Bolt, they might get a good exchange here. Yeah, they do have a Spirit Guide, and they have another Bolt. And I can't Daze it. Okay. What did that exchange actually amount to? That was a 3 for 3? Okay. It's a 3 for 3 where I'm still just drawing live as hell to any reanimate spell. Now I have Daze up versus their 1 land. I'm going to cast Daze. I don't want to pick up a land if I don't have to here. There are times where you want to do that, like if you're setting up a Brainstorm or something, but there we go. They didn't have the Spirit Guide. That's good. They used it already. And now let's just find a reanimate and win. Brainstorm could do it. Brainstorm? No reanimate. I think what I want to do is just Wasteland them and then play Psychic Frog next turn. Brainstorm, Psychic Frog back. Wasteland you. I could have played Psychic Frog this turn, but they've shown me their ability to handle one of those is actually pretty good. 2 mountains. Psychic Frog. Brainstorm on top of my deck. Pyroblast is fine. That means it's not countering my Brainstorm next turn, which can dig for Reanimate. 3 mountains. Painter Servant. Okay. They're starting to get something going here. Now Reanimate is a blue card. It's a little awkward. Brainstorm. Another Frog and a Troll. I'm going to cast the Frog. This is what we do. We cast Frogs till they die. Going to get Basic Swamp in case they have main deck Blood Moon effects. Painter Servant doesn't usually do that these days, but historically it's a thing that has been possible. If they've been sandbagging a Grindstone and draw any mana source, they win. If they have been sandbagging mana and draw a Grindstone, they win. Alright, Red Blast. And they didn't counter my Frog, they killed it, which makes me think they just drew that. Which doesn't really matter because it happened, but it is a piece that we could try to put in place. And we just wait the whole game till this shows up. Drax is in play now. Okay. An Entomb. Daze. I could go Force Ponder. Force of Will Ponder gives me Force blue card. Everything's a blue card right now, actually. But I think I still like this spread. And then cast Ponder, because everything's blue. I could Force Pitching Wasteland if I need to. Fatal Push, I like that. And Animate Dead's under it. Now let's go. This is actually interesting because I don't want to Fatal Push the Painter Servant, but I can if I need to. Because I'd rather pitch Troll or Wasteland to Force of Will. But if they like play Grindstone here, I'm going to have to do what I got to do. Phyrexian Dragon Engine just as a 2/2 double strike. Drawing Animate Dead in for 7. And I could put a Troll into play. I could put a Frog into play. I think I'd rather have the Troll. Cycle Troll. Underground Sea. Animate the Troll. It's just bigger, and at this point I'm just trying to kill my opponent. And I'm leaving back Force Blue card plus Fatal Push. And this puts my opponent dead on board. Even if they find a blocker, I have the push for it. If they find the Grindstone, I can force it. Don't care about Goblin Welder. Okay, now they are empty. I'm going to force this Goblin Welder pitching Wasteland, and then the Fatal Push will be GG. And here we just had an example of the deck. And the Painter deck was really good against the Frog half of the thing. That early exchange over the Lightning Bolt was fine for them. I mean, I'm not even going to say good because that's not true, but it was fine for them. And then the Attracts are just sitting in the graveyard, leaving me just 7 insane things to draw or cantrip into at any point in the game. It's pretty good. Okay, how do I want to play this game? Painter has engines like Urza Saga, Find, Soul Guide Lantern, Welders, Loop, Soul Guide Lanterns. Daze is unreliable versus Spirit Guide, Force of Will, bad versus all the Red Blast they play. I'm just making package piles here to help think about how the game's going to go. I want these cards all out, and then I'm thinking about these cards, but that totals 17, which is more cards than I have to bring in, even if I brought in the whole sideboard, which might be reasonable here. I mean, Force Negation is not coming in. I like Fatal Push. Toxic Deluge is fine. Brazen Borrower is fine. Barragoyf's fine. Consign might actively be good. If there's a Painter, it doesn't do anything, but... Or it could still counter a target triggered ability. Alright, no, it's fine regardless. Bowmaster is a thing they have to consider versus Fable, and it's actively good versus Welder, but not good in other places. I think Bowmaster is the second wave of cards I'd want. At which point, Atraxa, 2 Entombs, one of the Animate Deads come out. The Bowmasters don't come in. I have Archon and 2 Entombs to find it. And I can still play just kind of fair, recurring my frogs if they keep killing them kind of magic. I could also reanimate their cool creatures like their Chaos Defiler or their Dragon Engine. They have Brea's Apprentice. I think I like the middle ground here. Well, that's a lot of reanimation for a middle ground strategy. I'm still gonna stick with it. Brainstorm fixes everything. Opponent quickly mulled to 6. They're on 6. No Leyline. Vexing Bauble, okay. That card is in play. Underground Sea and pass. I wonder if they know that Grief is banned with the Vexing Bauble. And the Urza Saga, they did not have a second land to go with it, which means it's just gonna poop out and run out of gas. They could Spirit Guide out 1 construct. They could Spirit Guide out 2 constructs, but that's massive card disadvantage. And I do have Brazen Borrowers and Fatal Pushes, as many as I play to clear the constructs. Saga has run its course. Mostly painlessly. It's probably going to grab a Soul Guide Lantern. Make sure I don't combo blast them. Another Bauble, alright. I just wanted a card. That's fair. Okay, Soul Guide Lantern confirmed. It exists. They have to exile their own Saga, that's funny. Barragoyf. I could just cast that. Bolt does kill it right now, which is pretty embarrassing. I think I want to spend a little bit of time brainstorming, trying to sculpt some stuff. There's Archon, which I think I do want to leave in my hand because Frog will eventually do something with it. Put back Animate Dead and one of the Reanimates. Or maybe I should have just slammed Barragoyf this turn with the plan to reanimate it, but I have to clear the Soul Guide land first. No, it's fine. All right. Okay. I have access to Basic Swamp now. They missed a land drop last turn. Their hand is all spells. Found the land. We're in trouble. We're dead. Immediately deceased. I'm going to skip the basic. I have a bunch of routes to Basic Swamp, and I'd rather Undercity Sewers and see if I can get Barragoyf. Jammin'. Ooh. Now we're jamming. Tameo on top. Underground Sea. Tameo. Expect a Red Blast. Just so ready. Can't Red Blast or Bolt this one. Just taking that turn off made this, move this from 1-2 to 3-4. 32 tickets well spent. They do have Soul Guide Lantern, which means they can Bolt Barragoyf, put 3 damage on it, Soul Guide Lantern it down to a 2-3, and then it will die. They tapped mana, then changed their mind. I think they have a Red Blast. Ancient Tomb. Fable of the Mirror Breaker, okay. I'm just going to go to combat and see what they want to do. Attacking. Okay, we are connecting. I think I do want to mill here. Got a lot of creatures in my deck. And Frog threatens Archon. Yes, do the thing. Milled, Brainstorm, Consign, Wasteland. No love. I'm going to cast Ponder, because that threatens to flip Tamiyo. If they want to do something, they should probably do it. Oh, they went after Ponder. Interesting. Okay, that's allowed. I'm just going to pass. Fighting over the Ponder rather than the Tamiyo. I'm going to let their Fable resolve. Anything they discard could backfire on them because of Barrogoyf. Discarded a Fury and a Snow Mountain, which makes Barrogoyf 5/6. I'm going to Fatal Push the Goblin Shaman before combat. I just don't want them gaining any advantages at all. And I still have Brazen Borrower that could answer a Painter, or I could reanimate their Fury. This exiles each opponent's graveyard. Ensnaring Bridge. I do have answers to that in the form of Brazen Borrower, who is now... Brazen Borrower is getting a lot asked of it right now. Okay, Tamiyo's dead. Thoughtseize is in my deck. I have 3 Borrowers total. Animate dead. Okay. Looted Delta. Can't attack right now. I could reanimate Tamiyo and just try to get some action on the Soul Guide Lantern. I'm going to do that. Reanimate Tamiyo. Because now Brazen Borrower has to answer Ensnaring Bridge. Tamiyo's in. And we are approaching that thing that I said in one of the previous rounds about there are 8 mana sources in the deck and Archon's castable. The Saga flips here. They're just drawing a card off Soul Guide Lantern. Love to see it. That's no longer an issue. I can animate dead their Fury to kill their Reflection this turn. And if they play a Painter, I just get 2 things. Tamiyo's dead again. And I have another Undercity Sewers in the deck I can dig for. Consigned to Memory. I like that card. Put that on top. Animate the Fury. This kills Reflection. It takes my power in play from 5 to 9. It's still not lethal. 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so if I can all at once bounce Ensnaring Bridge, flash in... Okay, they had Fairy Macabre as their last card in. Sure, that's fine. That was a 1-for-1 exchange. Now there's no Graveyard Hate available. I can bounce Ensnaring Bridge, bash, and then consign it on the way back down. New plan. In we go. 6/7 creature. That's pretty good. They would have to draw Red Elemental Blast this turn for me to not be massively favored here. They're getting the chump. They don't want me to mill and dig. I'll probably hit on a mill 6. Good chance. They tapped all their mountains to play this and then untap them and use their colorless mana, which I hope means that they don't have the Red Blast because they would have thought about it. Yeah, okay, they're just scooping. Sweet. All right. Pivoting onto just big donkeys, and Barrogoyf remains the biggest thing on Earth. On to the final trophy round.
We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. Friendly reminder that if you're still here and having fun, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, you can use my affiliate link for TCG Player to support the channel while you shop for cards, and you can try any deck anytime with a cardhoarder.com loan account for Magic Online. All these links are in the video description below. Now back to the league.
I'm on the draw in the final trophy round with a hand I can't keep. There's 17 actual lands in the deck. Even if I was willing to roll the dice, it's like a 1 out of 3, slightly worse than 1 out of 3 right now. And that's not good enough. I would keep this hand if just one of these cards at random was Wasteland to pop off the troll, but as it stands, we mulligan. And rewarded with a pretty solid hand on the mulligan. I'm going to bottom Underground Sea. And I have Tamiyo into Frog, and if I ever draw Reanimate, we just have Entomb Reanimate. Bonus on 5. Vexing Bauble, okay. Going to 5 and playing Bauble is interesting. It does turn off that Daze. You got me there. This is probably Red Stompy. I guess it could be Painter again. We just saw Vexing Bauble out of Painter. Alright, yeah, looking like Painter again. We just beat this deck. Let's see if they flush a Red Blast on that. Okay. Tamiyo's gone. If I draw it Reanimate, I'm sending it. Okay, well, sometimes you just say words and they become true. Entomb, and I think Archon's better in this spot. Archon of Cruelty, Reanimate, Archon of Cruelty. I'm at 12. You have 1 card in your hand. Yeah, the high rolls this deck offers are pretty cheesy. They have 1 card in hand. I don't think this deck plays one card that answers Archon of Cruelty. If they main deck an Ensnaring Bridge and go land bridge right now, I'm going to be on one main deck Brazen Borrower to solve that problem. But that's a pretty specific thing to occur. Yeah, okay. Sweet. What a sweet deck this is. Fun and engaging. Magic the Gathering. We just did this. Let's do it again. No Atraxa, yes Archon. 2 Entombs out. All the Forces out. The Daze is out. Push, Consign, Borrower all in. And I did another Animate Dead last round. And I'm not saying that because I did it once and I won when I did it, it is 100% true, but we reasoned through this last round. Like, they're a Spirit Guide Ancient Tomb deck for Daze. They're a Vexing Bauble Pyroblast deck for Force of Will. They have Fairy Macabre on top of main deck Graveyard Hate, like Soul Guide Lantern and a bunch of engines, so I want to back off this a little bit. But if the coast is clear, I want to shove it down their throat. There's that thought process again, but faster. And we play to the board and try to do the thing. Okay, I have Entomb Reanimate in my hand if they don't have Graveyard Hate. I have Tamiyo Ponder to make a game plan come together if they do have Graveyard Hate. And I have Brazen Borrower that is good against their deck full of permanents. Let's see how this unrolls. Grindstone. We're just turboing out. Respectable. Underground Sea. I don't think that's better than Polluted Delta. Though, maybe it's fine. Because I want to cast Tamiyo this turn. And I can't get a swamp anyway, which is what Entomb Reanimate requires. I'm going to put Tamiyo into play, see if I can distract them, and then just Entomb Reanimate if they don't put something into play. Like, obviously, they could have Fairy Macabre. Do I just wait till I find a Thoughtseize, or what's going on here? What's the play? If they moon me here, it's going to be really interesting, and interesting in a way that it didn't have to be, but I do still stand by my sequencing for the most part. Goblin Engineer, okay. Painter in the graveyard. I'm going to see what I draw and make a decision. I drew Wasteland, interesting. That could slow them down a bit. If they have Fairy Macabre land drop, I'm just dead to their board right now, which is not a position I really want to find myself if I don't have to. I'm going to ponder first. If I can find Fatal Push, that's also a way to chill. Thoughtseize I like a lot, because that lets me just do everything next turn. Okay, Thoughtseize in my hand now, Barragoyf on top of the deck. I Wasteland you to buy some time, and then I make a clue. And now I have Thoughtseize and Tomb Reanimate, which is a 3-mana line that can beat Fairy Macabre. And they have a 4-card hand. I just knocked them off 2 mana. They do have an active Engineer. Painter in the bin. They're missing land drops, though. That's good for me. I'm going to attack with Tamiyo, see if they want to blast or bolt her before she generates more value. They do not. Okay, Thoughtseize you now. I love playing with Thoughtseize. This is so much more satisfying than Grief. And they did have the Fairy Macabre. We were right to hold. They could flip Grindstone into Pain or hold up Pyroblast this turn. That is a real play. I would prefer if they just Pyroblast Tamiyo, but I don't think they're going to do that because they let the game get this far. Okay. I'm going to respond to this with Entomb. Because now if I draw a land, I can send it twice. Because the Pyroblast can counter Reanimator, Animate Dead. Now, Fatal Push, Reanimate, any land are all big hits. And their hand is super awkward otherwise. And I still got Tamiyo doing stuff. All right, they're in for 2. Get your beats. Okay, we drew a land. I'm going to attack with Tamiyo first. And I'm going to hope really hard. Oh, okay, so I actually have 2 options here. The Brazen Borrower is probably the better one. I'm going to play Wasteland. I'm going to Reanimate Archon. I'm going to respond to Pyroblast by bouncing the Painter. I could just let them counter this, or I could, and then Animate Dead the Archon, or I could do it this way, and I think this leaves them with less. Because this will kill the Engineer, and the Edict is like a full mash rather than just kill your second best creature. Engineer's gone. They'll probably discard Chaos Defiler, because that's the one that's most potent from the graveyard. Okay, they went with the Dragon Engine. I mean, that one does stuff from the graveyard. That also makes sense. They're both reasonable candidates. I guess you don't want your Chaos Defiler reanimated either. So, good call. I mean, we got games to play, but this smells like a trophy. And we got the GGs in the chat. We're out of there. Well, I mean, we are so back if we ever left. Grief is banned. Long live Dimir, Froginator. Let's actually talk about what happened in this league, though. All memes and sassy language aside about management of the ban list. But, okay, what actually happened in that league? We played against Initiative twice, for starters, which is a deck that famously cannot beat Dimir Reanimator. Just structurally, it is not meant to do that, and it rarely happens, and that's why we haven't seen Initiative in 6 months. And we played against it 2 out of 3 rounds. And then the other rounds, we played against Painter twice, and Dimir, just normal cards without the Reanimator package, Dimir Frog. In terms of the Painter matchup, they certainly had a lot of ways to kill Psychic Frog. My first Painter opponent put a lot of those into the graveyard. It cost them a lot of resources to do it. And then we just farted around so long that I put Atrex into play. And then my second Reanimator opponent is just kind of, I did the shit. Entomb Reanimate. We're out of here. And then game 2, I just waited till I could Thoughtseize to check for hate first and then did the shit. And then we were out of there. In terms of how this deck bridges the Reanimate plan and the Beatdown plan, I mean, listen to the Eternal Glory podcast this week. It comes out on Friday. Available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Links to that in my link tree. Check it out. But long and short of it is that Psychic Frog is the premier card advantage tempo engine upon which all Days Wasteland decks are going to be built, as long as this card remains in the format. The fact that this card also can discard Reanimate bullets for value, and you don't have to play a card like Careful Study in your deck that wants card advantage, is very powerful. And the fact that the central card to your juke, which is Psychic Frog, because we basically just board into the deck that my Dimir opponent was playing in game 1. And the central card to their deck is also the central card to my deck, but I have this combo button that we were happy to smash a couple times in the league, and then happy to board out other times. I do think this deck is significantly more reasonable without Grief. I think the juke is worse, although it is still good. Also, people will have a chance to play the game at least a little bit. Like, if I spend turn 1 Thoughtseizing you, that's at least not Grief plus Reanimate and then take another card. That's a very different exchange. But, you know, Thoughtseize has been a common turn 1 play in combo decks since the printing of Thoughtseize, and it was Duress before that. Duress has been a common turn 1 play or combo turn play out of combo decks since 1998. But Duress that costs 0, that's also a Reanimate target. That's also a castable threat when you board out your Reanimate stuff. Grief had to go. Psychic Frog, looming, large. We're going to hear a lot about this in the coming months. I'm not going to draw my heavy conclusions now, but this deck is obviously still very good. And if the metagame doesn't respect it, you get some free wins like those Initiative players. And even if the metagame does expect it with a deck like Painter, which I've been calling out for months as a good answer to Psychic Frog, because you get to play all those Red Blasts in the main. If you are comboing out over the top of that, then that's only half of a solution. Anyway, clean trophy. Brendan, thanks for asking me to play this. Maxtortion, thanks for putting the deck out into the world. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and check out the Patreon. I'll see you next time.